All right, guys, don't get too upset at me, but I did some work off camera on this Pickwick, all direct percussion. And I think most of you remember the biface or the preform from last video. I guess you could call it biface, but we basically just took boppers like this and we, just went down the line and pretty much beveled edges, and it came right across with direct percussion. I don't think I used the small one, but the smallest I went to was, it's right here. See? That proves that I was napping before this video. So at this point, I'm just gonna go for just straight pressure flaking and hopefully get a nice point from there. So this is already getting real thin, translucent. And once we find our doggy, here you are. Just making sure you're close, buddy, that's all. All right, now we're gonna bevel the edge, or not bevel the edge, but we're going to abrade the edge. And with Tallahatta in particular, you need to make sure that that edge is abraded really well, even on pressure plates. I mean, you don't want to crush the edge because that will just cause you a world of hurt. You want to make sure that every pressure strike that you do will terminate and not hinge out. So we are gonna flip from side to side here, I think. Where's my issue stick? Here we go. Get the pressure pad. And we've kind of abraded this edge up on the low areas and down on the high areas. So this is gonna be kind of an experimental run. So down towards this area, I'm gonna shave off this back here because there's already a valley right here, and over here it's just kind of stone. It's just flat. And so we want to create a little valley on this side too. So that's what we're doing, is we're kind of shaving it off depending on the direction we're going, or depending on the stone. Now these edges can be super finicky. And I mean super finicky. And when you come to a thin area, you best be careful, because it'll send a shot just right through that thin patch where you basically took a percussion strike on both sides, those super thin areas. It can cause some issues if you aren't doing what you need to do. Again, we don't want any hinges. We want everything to feather in, unlike that. So there, just kind of lightly press down to give me a platform for the other side. See, there was a very small hinge right there. Very small, but luckily I don't think it'll do us any issue once we taper in our symmetry. But I guess a good cue is if you're about center line, if the platform is center line, you can push in all day long. If it's a really low platform, you want to press more down than in. If the platform is really low and you press in, then you're just going to cause a hinge. I mean, it's inevitable. But if you're about center line and there's some good convexity, then, you know. Is this the best way to show this? Maybe I should bring this up a bit. Yeah, that's probably better. Let's see. Might be better. So here I'm just pressing down. Pressed in slightly there. Every platform is a bit different. So I treat them all different. And the way to know whether to push in or press down or anything like that is just experience. Just the more you do it, the better off you get. And we still got to clean this edge up with another pressure flaking pass, but let's go ahead and do the same thing on this side. Now, this side has not been abraded. So as you can tell by some of the shadow areas, our last little bit of percussion was done, can you guess? On this face, because we basically had flakes that came across this. We basically shot from this direction back to get good flakes on this side. Then we beveled this edge this way where it was more so here, and then we shot some flakes, and there are these little valleys, little hills, and so we need to try to catch those, but we need to abrade them first. So same thing over here. We got a flat area, and then, well, really this one's more rounded, so we want to press into this side first. So I'm abrading the opposite way of the way I'd like to strike. And I still need to do a video on abrading, because all abrading is platform preparation. Well, I take that back. Abrading can be used in other ways too. If I wanted to really get this symmetry correct, I could just sharply just have a little bit of method to the madness. All right. Again, these corners are very tricky, so it's always best to take a little guide flake first, just to be safe. Now, if you do hinge out a little bit towards the base, usually not an issue, because we're going to be, you know, putting a stem in there, so you can always knock that out. Pete. Pete. He's around here somewhere. Let's go. Hep. Pete. Braid this real quick. There he is. Oh, he was in the front yard the whole time. Come on, buddy. Over here. Come lay. See, some of these areas I'm able to press in. Other areas like this where I don't have any convexity, I'm just kind of pushing straight down. see, he knows where it needs to be. Let's go. There he is. I kind of want to lower the platform because I want to shoot a couple little flakes back that way. All right, lay down, buddy. Good job. Yeah, I'm not doing any direct percussion, so maybe he'll stay. Usually that loud kind of pop will scare him a little bit. Now the reason I'm having to do this side is because, again, this was the side we did our direct percussion on here. And then we flipped the edge to come off this side, and so there were these little areas we had to peel off. But once we peeled off these areas, there's still the leftover remains of the bevel to direct percussion off this side. So we're trying to press off I don't know if that makes any sense. But that's what I'm doing. And it's not like I'm thinking, yeah, because of this, this. I've just kind of got it down after all these months and coming up on 5 years of Flintknapping. But it's just kind of instinctual now. I'm not saying my decisions are perfect. You know, you go through, gosh, thousands of decisions just making an arrowhead. I mean, what am I gonna braid here, you know? So you can accomplish the same goal in a variety of different ways. But I would suggest that some ways are better than others. It's like in chess. I know I mention this often, but in chess you have the best move, and then you also, in many cases, have 6 or 7 or 8 good moves that don't lose you the game, that lets you keep the advantage. But there's one good move that can really help. And for me, I've just kind of figured out what I like to do the best, what works the best for me. I've shared with you I don't like indirect percussion because it doesn't give me the flake scars I like. Now, I know you can use it to get the kind of flake scars I like, but I also just don't like indirect percussion. It's just a personal choice for me. But no harm, no foul. If you like it, it's incredibly resourceful. In fact, there are times I might have even used it once in the previous video where I napped the preform or biface for this. I might have used it just for particular, you know, usually if I do use it, it'll be a platform that's like really hard to get and really in a pocket. And usually if I do use indirect, it's because I'm afraid I'm gonna break it or I don't have the right support, or I cannot get the support that I need via direct percussion. I'm really abrading, not just in, but just about straight down here. The reason I did that was because of that earlier hinge, remember? And we got half of it. And the other half we'll get from the edge. Or not. But this is a hinge that's basically already been undercut. So I'm hoping that in time we can get that out, and I think we can. All right, so symmetry slightly off where the blade is concerned. So we'll fix that. Okay. Let me switch to my pressure flaker. If I can find it. There it is. And before I do anything else, I'm gonna take a sip of sweet tea. Stay there, buddy. Stay there. Hey, won't you lay on the grass over there? Won't you go lay? We're coming here, that's cool too. All right, I think we'll work on the blade first. I think we'll do that first. Make sure the blade is symmetrical. And as I'm pressing down right here, I'm definitely not pressing in. If you press in on these, you'll be in for a world of hurt. You're gonna flip this thing over and look at a bajillion different hinges that you wish you could take back. I'm also not pressing very hard either. Because I don't want to overly crush an edge. To fix the insert there. And again, pretty much just pulling down while also trying to gain some symmetry. See how it broke right there? It's just a thin spot. Same thing there. Now a fix is that you can actually look and see every individual strike you make, but I don't want to do that. Don't feel like doing it. All right, so we did one pass on this side. I need to do it on this side, but before we do, I want to tackle this too. This side here. I have an idea. Our last pressure flaking with the issue stick was here. So we've got some odd deltas we need to get rid of. So that's why I'm gonna start on this face. Not taking a lot off the tip, but further down we get, see it just broke off there. If I would have started from the other side, it'd be even worse. Because it's just a flat plateau of a platform that's fragile. Pull a little bit off there. All right, now we can flip and do the other side on both of these. Good, Pete found him a pine cone. That should keep him occupied. Just pressing down primarily. Now the hope is that on this pass, you don't have any gouges, any weird breaks along the edge. You want to be a little bit more diligent than you were on the last face. There may be sections that you skip just because you're trying to keep symmetry there. And there may be sections you press down a little further into the stone. Keep the symmetry too. All right, so this edge is pretty much done. See, on both sides it's pretty sharp, or looks sharp. And we just need to fix this side. Now before I do, set that down. You never really want a dull tip unless you're pressing way above the edge, in which case, or you're pressing way above the edge and you're trying to put a ton of force into it, then you can have a blunt edge then, but okay. So we finished the top side. Now this top side we need to finish. Yep. So we flaked on this side. Oh, wait, let me see. Is that right? No, we flaked down here, so we need to flake like this. See, a little incipient crack there on the tip. Luckily, it didn't cause us any hurt. It's right there. I don't know if you can see it, but I doubt it. Anyways, just good to be careful, especially around the whiter areas in the stone. Typically with Tallahatta, it's more chalky. by pressing down, it just kind of adds, I don't know, the look I feel like a point needs to have, which is not super duper flat, but convex all the way to the edges. And so almost kind of doing a four-way bevel, slightly beveling on all sides. If any of you are from the deep south, you might be familiar with abbey points. Abbeys are typically a deep four-way bevel point. So a lot of them are small and thick. This is just a very light beveling. Again, these edges are very finicky. You need to be careful on them. And we'll come back and finish up the final symmetry on the blade itself in a minute. But right now we need to focus on the base. And this is where everything starts to come together, because if we mess up the base, haven't gone this far into the make, I'm gonna be kind of ruined. Now the blade, I'm looking at it, the blade is slightly off. I think we're still gonna be fine either way. But in order to get everything symmetrical, I'll have to work a little magic here. And notice for this Pickwick, I didn't start the ears like way up here. I started them down here. I did that for a reason, just to kind of give myself a little bit of room, if need be, down the way. Maybe it'll make sense as we go forward. Now, one thing to keep in mind is this base. You want the base to be similar to the thickness of most of the point. Now, I try my best to keep everything symmetrical concerning the flatness and everything. But if I was to just start pressure flaking off the base would be super thin, which it already kind of is. And the blade would be thicker than the base. And then it just looked weird. Everything stems from the base, pun intended there, because it is the stem. So you really just want a four-way bevel the stem and keep the stem, at least relatively meaty. So there might be circumstances where there's a slight bump there. I might press over that bump. But generally, don't press in unless your base is like super duper thick and it needs some surgery. Now I'm kind of just inching my way in here because I don't know exactly how far or how thick I want the base to be. Again, just kind of pressing down here. I know I want to bring my notch up a little bit. got my 4-way bevel going there. So we'll switch around, go a little bit further into the stone. And for right now, I think I'm gonna leave the thickness of the base and just work on the, more so on the corners. So I may work down to about right here, but I'm leaving the width on the base. Probably a better description of what I'm trying to say, trying to do. Okay. So based on what we have here, my blade edge is off. So this is another use of the abrader. Is to very quickly fix the symmetry. So ideally you'd want to have all your symmetry done on the first pass. Doesn't always work that way. In fact, very rarely does it. For me, speaking for me here. I'm going to flip. Remember, same process as everything else we did about the blade. Really 2 steps for each face. The first step is to kind of pressure flake in on each side with a, I need to focus here, this is really tedious here. Oh yeah, that looks great. Unfortunately, this edge was a bit too far. Now we're looking solid. And that's why I leave a little extra room and I don't do it so high up. I knew I'd get to this point eventually. As I save myself a little bit of breathing room for any symmetry errors. Looking good. And these are just feather flakes. Probably only going a third of the way across. Yep. And again, leaving myself plenty of room and width on the base in case I need to preserve the base. So just setting up different precautions. Say I were to clip the edge right there really bad. Well, I have some room to work still. Good. I can always make this stem longer by bringing my notch up. So if it's not long enough, I can always fix it. Now, this area is thinned out. Backside is not. Pretty thick, thin on the top face, thick right here. So just gonna slightly bevel. This is a tender area. And kind of start in the middle, then work your way to the sides. It's gonna be the best way to do it. Now, we're getting to a point where I don't think I want to lose too much more on the stem. I think our stem's looking really good. So, I'm just gonna start cleaning everything up. Again, just a 4-way bevel. Nothing crazy. And everyone has a different Pickwick style. You know, everyone's base may look a little different. Mine may look a little different than some you've seen, but that's A-okay. And it's okay if this crushes more than pushes down. You know, we're at the final stages here. Okay, I think I may draw the stem in just a little more. again, a lot of this down here is just personal preference. Nearly there, fellas. That worked out great. I was afraid for that edge for a second there. All worked out. It's these finishing touches that really make your point stand out. I've said that in a ton of videos, but it's true. Whether it be little bitty serrations or slightly fixing a notch, the small things are always evident to the eye of the beholder. Or to the eye of most beholders. What I mean mean by that is, you know, some notches might be more squared off, some might be rounded. You know, people understand like, oh, that's a little bit different. Okay, cool. Some serrations may look really sharp. Some of them may just be kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, there's a little bit there. Nothing too crazy, but okay. So sorry you missed kind of the second part to this 3-part series of, you know, the more grueling direct percussion. But I hope the latter part of this video has been helpful, informative, enjoyable to watch. Just checking the symmetry out real quick. Okay. Maybe here. Let's see if that'll do it there. Cool. Well, I think that'll do it, guys. Nice Pickwick. 51 minutes from preform to finish point. But this one came out nice. Pretty happy with it. I think I may keep this one, honestly. Again, didn't get the base too thin. That's always the worry, but we kept it nice. And that came out beautiful. Let's see how translucent it is. And as expected, very, very translucent. It'd be a shame if I dropped this thing right quick. But let me not jinx it. But very cool. Very cool. Love it. But this goes to show you can work Tallahatta. You know, it can be a challenge, but it's totally doable. You know, given you have the patience and the time to work it, it can be some beautiful stuff. I don't know if you can see the flake scars, but little to no hinges. That's how I like it. Anyways, appreciate it, guys. Hope you enjoyed. And I don't have my measurement here, or my measuring stick. What can I measure with so you guys can get a picture of how big this thing is? All right, I know some of you have these pads. So, not quite double the length of the pad. Almost double the length of the pad. Maybe it is double the length of the pad. Who knows? Anyways, it's got to be at least 7.5, if I had to guess. But appreciate y'all watching. I'm thrilled with this, and this is going to go in a keeper case for a little while. So don't ask me about this one. I'm gonna keep it. Now I gotta go find Pete. So y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.